and politics. Mercurial as he could be, though, a remarkably unbroken line ran through everything Ben Hecht did. Pugnaciousness and wit figured centrally, as did perversity, a serious sense of play, linguistic dexterity, impatience with decorum, and authority. He was also, without fail, prolific. And he did an excellent job of cultivating various legends about himself, so that even now his exploits are most often recounted by means of a hodgepodge of the same salty but well-worn and not entirely credible anecdotes, many of his own devising. And while any number of freestanding books might be written about Hecht's Hollywood, or Ben Hecht in the newsroom, or the novels of Ben Hecht, all these Hechts were, willy-nilly, one and the same, or variations on a rousing theme, so that attempts to pull apart those strands do little to help us fathom the braid of a man he actually was. Ben Hecht the Jew was also inseparable from these others. Hecht made a point of grandly asserting that he became a Jew in 1939, when, at age 46, he began to look on the world with Jewish eyes. This account of his own evolution is more than a little absurd, since he had always been Jewish. Not only Jewish, to be sure. Hecht's Americanness was arguably his true religion, yet bound from birth to that adjective. And here, the question of what makes a Jewish life seems especially fraught, since he insisted on defining his Jewishness in the narrowest terms in reaction to Hitler and World War II, as if Germany's invasion of Poland had somehow altered his DNA. From that date on, Hecht remained, of course, Hecht, though the events of 1939 through 1945 did profoundly change the way he saw himself and how he acted during and after that time. The lessons he drew from this dark period were extreme in a literal sense. They turned him into a Jewish radical, one of the most flamboyant and bellicose boosters of pre-1948 Palestine's militant ultra-nationalist underground, the Irgun. During these bloody years, he trumpeted his admiration for the terrorists of Palestine, my brave friends, as he called them, in furious response to a world that had, he felt, sat by with criminal passivity as the Nazis slaughtered millions of Jews. Hecht's crusading wartime work on behalf of those he described as the doomed Jews of Europe and his active support for the Irgun were, in the end, as important to him as almost anything. He devotes 110 pages of his memoir to the subject. Hollywood warrants a mere 49. We can question Hecht's grasp of Judaism in general, and his own Jewishness in particular. Neither was very refined. But the fact remains that he dedicated large chunks of the last several decades of his life to what he considered the cause. However he did or didn't fathom the complex web of forces that cause entailed, being Jewish was fundamental to being Ben Hecht. "Oh, how dreadfully sad," Katharine Hepburn scrawled in her rangy, preppy longhand to Hecht's wife Rose on hearing the news of his 1964 death. "To have Ben disappear, he seemed as permanent as the Statue of Liberty." Disappear he inevitably did, though the speed with which his name has slipped from common memory is striking, given his prominence and/or notoriety at a certain not-too-distant American moment. There are various reasons for this eclipse, some of them understandable, some less so. Already in 1954, Hecht was musing about his lack of fame, a tad disingenuously perhaps, given the acclaim to which he'd been treated for some 4 decades, and the fact that these words appear in a book bound, as he may have predicted, for the bestseller list. He chalked up his wobbly public persona to his self-professed capriciousness. "It is," he wrote, "difficult to praise a novelist or a thinker who keeps popping up as the author of innumerable movie melodramas. It is like writing about the virtues of a preacher who keeps carelessly getting himself arrested in bordellos." If Hecht's claims to present-tense obscurity seem far-fetched, he wasn't wrong about the damage his casual register and discipline hopping had caused his reputation. During his lifetime, all his breezing between art and entertainment, highbrow and low, made him suspect in strictly literary quarters, and that suspicion followed him past death. The bordello reference isn't random. The prodigious sums he earned in Hollywood added to the widespread sense that he had prostituted his real gifts. Never mind that Hecht's screenwriting was vastly better than his fiction. He himself condescended to the movies as a form and saw scriptwriting as a sort of verbal whoring, an attitude that surely didn't add to the respect he commanded. Hecht's one-time idol and sometimes editor H.L. Mencken articulated rather cruelly the wariness of certain intellectuals toward Hecht when he wrote late in life that he had considerable talent.